From Sin City, you're listening to Tag Radio. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. Frank Trigg is out today. He's doing some personal stuff out in Oklahoma City, but sitting in for him is my co-host, Roy Big Country Nelson, IFL champion, and now an Affliction heavyweight fighter who just signed recently. We'll get to that in a second. Let me bring in the third man in the booth. He's the show's producer, top 10 blogger on all of MySpace. He's the infamous Goze from MySpace. How you guys doing?
It's good, guys. It's good to be here.
Doing good today. It's always fun when we have an in-studio guest.
Oh yeah, those are the best. We get to break the guy down, find out about him, and then if he's a softie, we'll bust his balls, and if he's a mean guy, then we'll just stay away and be respectful.
If it's like Ariane, we'll just stare.
Yeah, we just stared at Ariane.
The whole hour and a half.
When it was Vanderlei, we were like picking our spots and we joke around or what. Anyhow, like we've done in the past, we mentioned Vanderlei, Ariane, the ring card girl, John Alessio, Tyson Griffin, Roy Nelson, actually another Sin City native. Actually native and current resident. So he's joining us today. Now, do you still like to be called IFL heavyweight champion, or is that now you turn the page, new chapter?
It's always going to be a new chapter, but like for IFL heavyweight, I guess I'll be the heavyweight forever, and I'll hold the title forever now.
Do people ever call you champ?
Yeah, for a long time they've always called me champ because it's like either in the gym from doing jiu-jitsu,
right,
or but now ever since I've held the title that everybody's called me,
I always thought that was pretty cool when people were called champ. I mean, whoever it was, whatever title, if it was in an organization where someone worked their way through and got to a belt, I thought it was always cool when they were referred to as champ.
I just figured they just forgot your name.
Yeah. Anyhow, all right. So, like always, our guest is in the chat room. So if you want to jump in the chat room, it's not too hard to figure out. He is Big Country. We ask that you be respectful, but you can send all the questions you want or comments. And of course, if you want to talk to any of us throughout the show, 702-222-3062. That's the number. Again, Frank Trigg is out in Oklahoma City. He will be back tomorrow or next week, depending on how we do our show. I guess we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But filling in today, Roy Big Country Nelson. Anyhow, well, I guess let's talk about before we get to Affliction, let's start with IFL. At what point did they finally let you know, hey, we're done, you should start pursuing other promotions, or how did that work out? How did that phone call?
I actually didn't get a phone call. It was an email that I got. What was it? Literally a couple days right before the Affliction press conference. So it was a little weird because everybody else got released
Right,
like a good month before.
I saw some guys on the UFC card.
Yeah,
Blackburn and Roy Markham.
And then there was Reese Andy and the
yeah.
But yeah, there was a whole bunch of guys that got released way early or that the UFC snatched up. So like,
do you know why there was delays?
I think it might have been contract issues. Like I had a decent, pretty decent contract, as in the promoter doesn't own me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of those, one of those contracts where I think with the UFC, they go in and we'll pay that. That's cool. But I had like different carve outs. Like if I wanted to fight Fedor at any time, I don't have to ask for your permission.
Oh,
wow!
So I could just go do it.
Right.
So there's a bunch of guys the only way that I could make myself a better fighter is to be able to go out and get my own fights with the best. If the IFL wasn't going to do it, so I just made sure it was in my contract.
I gotcha. So some are just more complicated than others.
Right. So I think like with the UFC, you couldn't play. Couldn't just go and go, oh, I want that contract, and then go, yeah, we can't work with that one, and then try to offer you something else that makes sense for them.
And did it get to that point where they?
Not. The only ones that I had particular was I think just the Elite and Affliction. That's kind of where I was looking at. I think right now UFC's just they want to keep their golden boy happy, with Frank and then now with Brock. So they think they got their hands full with all that.
So you guys didn't have dialogue?
Not me personally, but I think my management might have.
Okay.
But it's one of those things, like if the numbers aren't right, it just doesn't make sense for either one of us.
Well, that starts to help fill in the blanks because we noticed 3 champions: Haran, Medashenko, Nelson, which obviously, you guys are the top coming out of that league. And in my opinion, you guys would be attractive choices for any promotion, especially something like the UFC. Haran's a Vegas guy, you're a Vegas guy, and I just thought it would have made sense when all these other guys were coming to the UFC that you guys would be next. But we noticed for some reason the champions aren't coming over, and all 3 of them wound up in Affliction. So maybe they had instances similar to yours. The contracts were just a little bit more complicated, being that you guys probably made more and just
I think
had more stuff going on.
I think it had to do that, but then I think it also is just what makes financial sense for each individual fighter. I mean, we're only in the sport for so long, and we need to get as much money as possible. Because if anybody says, well, you're gonna fight for the glory, or you're fighting for this, no, you're fighting to pay for your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys don't realize that, but because when you first start out, you're just trying to fight just to make a name for yourself. But once you make a name for yourself or establish that you're one of the top guys out there, it's time for a lot of different organizations to pay, just to kind of go, this is what I'm worth, and then hurry up and get yours while you can. I mean, Fedor is one of those guys that goes out and goes, I'll fight the Akamoto, or whatever for $1 million or a couple $100,000 just because he knows he can win, and it's just for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm. As an outsider looking in, I just thought you would have been an excellent choice. For one, the UFC heavyweight division is kind of bare right now, and you have a very, very great style to watch. I mean, I know you're great on the ground, but lately, you've been knocking fools out. You stand on the ropes. You have charisma, and I don't know. I thought that would have been pretty cool for the UFC to pick up a guy like that. Very talented, and again, their cupboard's bare in that division.
I would agree with you. Long time ago, when Joe Silva was, very interested, they were always going the kind of like the Josh Barnett, hey, you just need to lose a couple pounds, we're more than happy to take it. You just gotta have that build. And I was like, that could happen, but that's just not the way I am. Just genetics, and I'm not gonna take the risk of getting hot for juice like everybody else or special vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go out there and put on a good show. I mean, lately my hands have been coming along, and I don't even have to go to the ground now, so it's probably the best thing in the world.
All right, you brought it up. As far as your build and everything, what do you basically come in at? What do you weigh?
Right now, probably 264.
And when you fight?
264.
264? Okay, and so does that, you're just comfortable with that? I mean, because you do have the speed and the agility. At first, when I used to watch, I was like, well, would he be quicker or whatever, but you still have it. Is it a matter of you're just big country, you just like to eat?
No, actually.
Is it your diet? Or?
No. When I first started fighting, I was about 245.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I started hitting the weights or actually working out like a professional, I've actually gained so much more muscle now. I just keep the same body size, the same fat proportion, but now I put on more muscle. Now I'm 264. Diet wise, I'm not a big fan of just eat two berries a day and and a banana or something like that. But I'm pretty much open to whatever. I don't watch my diet as in I gotta only eat this much, and I just eat when I'm hungry.